Knowledge. Knowledge is precious. Its power, its awakening. It's a resources that helps me for my personal growth, professional development, and overall well-being. Google, information technology, full of information. Yes, we can translate that information into knowledge when we apply that in our daily life. I'm talking today about knowledge in the Eastern wisdom and the knowledge of the world outside. We can categorize into two categories. One is the Eastern wisdom, knowledge of the Eastern wisdom. I always say, study Eastern wisdom to know yourself. Don't I know myself? Yes, I know that I am the body, mind, intellect, and ego. No. Eastern wisdom says, I am my true nature of permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. We study any branch of the science outside. You study physics, you have hundreds of branches in the physics, same thing in biology, psychology, you have hundreds of models. And then that is what is known as the specialization. So if you have a heart problem, you cannot go to a nephrologist. Specialized. But one hand it is a specialized, on the other hand it is the reductionist knowledge. Knowledge is specialized, so it is reduced. But what if the Eastern wisdom says, when you study the Eastern wisdom, you know your true nature, and that true nature is infinite. It is all pervading. It is beyond the time space. The one factor is what we say the mindfulness or meditation. So, if any practice of mindfulness and meditation is not supported by this knowledge, you will end up in just for some time, a little bit of relaxation, that is, or calmness or peace, but to discover your nature. I will talk about that a little later. Let us understand the knowledge, any knowledge. Knowledge is definitely a power. It helps cognitive enhancement and the brain health. It improves the function of the brain, learning new things. But learning Eastern wisdom transcends the brain. I always tell my students and seekers, at present, it is the brain is using the consciousness. That is why the modern science says that they are in dilemma, they are in researching what is the seat of consciousness in the brain, front, back, or anywhere. Pay attention what I said. The brain is using the consciousness as long as I am not awakened. The moment I'm awakened, it is the consciousness uses the brain and the mind. So if the science says improves brain function when you study new things, oh, right, right. But we follow a different approach. It increased your mental flexibility because you didn't know one thing, now you know, so the mind expands. So flexibility, delayed cognitive decline. Many research have been carried out that lifelong learning, including studying a new subject, can help to starve off age-related cognitive decline and potentially reduce the risk of conditions like dementia. Knowledge also helps in personal growth and fulfillment. Pay attention what the modern approach is. Personal growth and fulfillment. Maybe self-discovery increases your confidence, broader perspective. It reduces boredom and monotony. It gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you a personal transformation. So I will pick up the two so-called the benefit, the self-discovery and personal transformation. That is the subject matter dealt deeply in the Eastern wisdom. When we say self-discovery, we do not start from the preconceived opinion about the personality and the traits and the qualities, etc. Eastern wisdom says that self, which I want to say, real self, that real self is of the nature of permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. Another name given to that true nature sorry, is absolute existence, consciousness, and bliss. And the second part is the personal transformation. What is that personal transformation? I feel limited. I react to small things and get agitated. So, what is the transformation? Our mind undergoes a transformation, so our response. There is always a response instead of a reaction. I remember something wonderful pertaining to the Eastern wisdom. That very awakening or the realization is nothing but the self-knowledge. Modern approach towards gaining the knowledge is also aimed at professional development and career advancement. It's very common phrase that we use. We enhance our employability in today's rapidly changing job market. Employers highly value individuals who are adaptable, versatile, and committed to continuous learning. New skills make you more competitive. It opens a gateway to new career opportunities. It helps you, gives you the problem solving skills. It keeps you with the change outside in the world. It increases the earning potential. That is how the modern approach is. But by the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom, you recognize, realize, understand how to manage the challenges, how to survive and thrive by simple principles of fourfold practices that I will take up in this series. If you understand the fourfold practices and you know how to apply it in any situation, in whether in any situation, one thing, in any profession, two, in any type of relationship, these fourfold practices can help you to thrive, survive, manage, awaken. And simultaneously, your spiritual growth is continuing. Another important, most important thing, that the same principles can be applied to each generation, whether you belong to Alpha Gen or you belong to silent generation, millennials or baby boomers. These practices are, or it helps you to discover your inherent nature depending on your age and the mental growth. That is what we are going to talk in the following sessions. Yes, we also talk about the knowledge it gives you as social, interpersonal benefits. It gives you new connections, you feel less stressed, less anxious. It improves your communication. It also helps you to increase empathy. But the Eastern wisdom, pay attention. Once you become aware of that, understand clearly Eastern wisdom, you study Eastern wisdom to study yourself. Yourself has two parts. One is the false I according to Eastern wisdom, and other is the real I. Move further. Based, if you continue to think, speak, and act out of the false I, no one can stop your anxiety, duality, conflict, reaction, stress, suffering. But if you think, speak, and act out of the real self, not only you are awakened, but it helps you to survive and thrive, manage and excel, personal, professional, social, and the spiritual life. But that real self is beyond the known, where the comfort lies. Beyond the known means beyond the name and the form. That real self is of the nature of your consciousness. That is why. So, beyond the known, where comfort lies, in new pursuit before our eyes. Why step beyond the familiar shore, a tapestry of reasons and so much more? Why you want to keep repeating the same thing again and again? You marry to be happy, you divorce to be happy, you remarry to be happy. That is the mind's awakening within the head. A spark takes hold, new pathways bloom, a story told. Memory sharpens, thoughts align, a flexible mind and truly divine. Against the years a gentle stand, a healthy mind across the land. You developed an anxiety at the age of the 10, 20 years. Yes, you still have the anxiety. 30 years, 40 years. Why? Didn't you ask the question, how the hell anxiety? It's not my nature. That is the message. The self's embrace, to find oneself in knowledge deep, hidden talents from slumber to leap. Confidence grows a steady flame, a sense of triumph whispers your name. The world unfolds in colors bright, a broader view, a guiding light. No more the dull, the endless path, a vibrant quest to ease the strain. A deeper purpose starts to gleam, to grow, to shift, a waking dream. What knowledge brings to you? I just, before I complete this poem, every day we wake up to the same world. In deep sleep, world also sleeps for us. Every day, weeks and years and months, I'm 80 years old, and now I wake up to the same world. But what happens when you study the Eastern wisdom? One day you wake up to the totally new world, your perception changes. The futures call in busy markets, new skills rise. Your perception changes. The futures call in busy markets and new skills rise. a valued mind beneath the skies. New doors may open, thoughts untrod, a different future blessed by the gods. For tangled problems to sinew, to solve, to ponder, see them through, as times transform and currents shift. You stand prepared, a precious gift, and with this wisdom often found, greater rewards on hallowed ground. That is what I just explained you. You are not searching a situational happiness, you are searching the happiness within. Once you find that happiness within, it is always with you. But when you are seeking situational happiness, it will come and go. That is where the self-knowledge is, the human bond connections forged in learning space. New faces met with a friendly grace to speak and listen, clear and true, with every person, me and you, to feel their stories deep within, empathy's journey to begin. So, venture forth and learn anew, an investment made in all of you. I have to make my investment in myself. That is the journey of the Eastern wisdom. Not just for the facts or empty lore, but to become something much more. How the poem appeals to you. It gives a clear understanding that there are two types of knowledge: objective knowledge and subjective knowledge. Two sides of the coin, just for the sake of understanding. What it means, you are listening to me. One is you and the one is I. So that for me, that I is subjective. And for me, you are objective. So I know about you, you are a seeker, you are listening to me. Objective. Why you are objective knowledge? Because you are separate and different from what I am. So what we are searching in Eastern wisdom, the subjective knowledge. The objective world, external reality, everything outside of our individual consciousness. It is the world of observable phenomena, scientific laws, measurable data, and universal truths that are independent of personal feeling and interpretations. When we study subjects like physics, chemistry, biology, astronomy, history, we are largely trying to understand the objective world. It is an objective knowledge. Why it is objective knowledge? I am not. The goal here is to discover the facts and the principles and the possibilities to apply these principles in our daily life through different applications. What about the subjective world? This is purely I am. And then I ask, I am the body, or the body is an instrument? So this is in contrast. The subjective world, it is in contrast in the realm of our internal reality. We can use that word. Our consciousness, thoughts, emotion, perceptions, belief, individual experiences. And we analyze and observe each one. And we leave what we are not to find, to reach, to discover, to unlock who we are. The entire journey of the Eastern wisdom is specifically talking about 10,000 years of evolution of the knowledge of Eastern wisdom in India, with more than 3,000 texts that were written much more than 3,000 years ago, I'm using 3000 as a metaphor, more than 3000, and we have more than 3000 masters. What is the beauty that every master, from the first one until the latest and contemporary teachers, they are talking of the same principles differently. Their expressions are different. So why? They are the absolute principles. It is unlike the science. Sorry, you discovered something today, and then there is a progress in the science. That is what modern science is. Both are okay. I'm not criticizing, we are just trying to understand where the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom stands for. See, 150 years, scientists have found that matter consists of atoms. Another 20 years passed, it consists of molecules. So they corrected the error of their perception. And now the science says, no, there are more than 32 particles in the matter. No, these particles act as a wave and also act as the particles. So you see that those particles, electron, proton, and neutron, was also present 150 years ago, but we did not find it. That is a big challenge. What is the challenge? Challenge of our mind. Eastern wisdom says first we will correct the mind so that it will have a right perception. So until you correct the mind, that correction word is used as a purification of the mind. To have a right perception, to have an unbiased perception. So we have mostly, I would say, the 9 different schools or systems or approaches to find that real self, which includes Buddhism and Jainism, etc., etc. They all have the common goal, find the real self. Whether you name the real self or you say nothingness, both are okay. Whether you say it's a permanent happiness or permanent peace, that is the beauty of the Eastern wisdom. Yes, it includes mindfulness, meditation, and different practices of meditation. What should we do? We also do this inquiry outside in the world, which is known as the discovery and inventions in the science. We study the world outside for benefits, basically for pleasure, position, status. By knowing the workings of the nature and the world. But we study the Eastern wisdom to know who we are. That is our primary goal. When we study the world outside through the science, engineering, economics, even practical trades, our motivation often aligns with the pleasure, sensory and mental pleasures, position and status. AT&T. AT&T, the phone and the internet provider, belongs to, you already know, the great scientist. Knowing the workings of the nature of the world, we know and understand the nature of the world to apply to again for the sake of benefit. But when you study Eastern wisdom, it is the quest for knowledge of the self. It is the knowledge for breaking the boundaries of limitations. When we turn to Eastern wisdom, the primary direction is the self-inquiry. Where is the most important question in the self-inquiry, who am I? But if your mind already takes for granted that I am the body and the mind, I am rich and the poor, then it will not work. Who am I is the central question. It is not about acquiring knowledge, about the self as an object of study, like in Western psychology. Instead, it is about experientially realizing the true nature of my being, beyond the conventional ego, individual personality. So, in this knowledge of the Eastern wisdom, helps us to deconstruct the ego. We understand why, what, where, ego, and then we deconstruct that ego. The study here involves practices like meditation, mindfulness, and self inquiry to observe, question, and ultimately transcend this limited identification. We discover the universal consciousness, or you can say the pure consciousness. Not only we discover, can I experience? Yes. Eastern wisdom says we can experience if we follow the principles and the practices. Then we also understand that what causes the suffering. One, and then we challenge the suffering, whether we are worthy of suffering or not. My master used to say, we are not worthy of suffering at all. How it is possible? How can we reach to that state? So all these benefits are beyond the external benefits. That is why you might have heard the teachers of the Eastern wisdom says mindfulness meditation is transcending the mind. Transcending the name and the form. Name and the form causes the limitation. I will take up that later. Not only that, you transcend the situational happiness that you get outside. It is important. The mastery of the external world, modern science, the mastery of the internal world, Eastern wisdom, applying the objective knowledge to create a just, a sustainable and thriving external world. What will happen if I discover my real nature and then I apply the principles and applications of the science in the objective world? What will happen? The violence will stop, the jealousy will stop, the war will stop. That is what is the journey of Eastern wisdom. So we not only study, sometimes people say, oh, why we should be selfish to practice. Meditation is one part of the entire journey. You understand the entire landscape. Who are you as an individual? What is that pure consciousness? And how it is linked by the world outside of name and the form. So once I have a clear perception and understanding of these Trinity, where is the problem? If the world problem is the individual problem. That is one way to say it. Or if I say individual problem is the world problem. So when the problem within me is removed completely, I start living into that peace, happiness, love, and the wisdom as envisioned by our great masters. We can create a wonderful society outside.